certainly glad to have you all here with us today, but let's start out by having our Pledge of Allegiance. And Coach Ray, would you lead that?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Coach Ray. Thank you, board members. Let the record reflect all 5 board members are present this morning, and we have some visitors with us. And Mr. Hogue, if you'd like to do some introductions.
Yes, I'll be glad to. All of you are going to do your introduction, so don't worry. I'm not going to introduce the whole Student Advisory Council, Superintendent's Advisory Council, because you're all going to do that when you get up. So please, I'm not forgetting you as being our guest here today, and we just really appreciate you here. Our principals are here today with us, our high school principals, and that's Katie Hayes, and Katie's over there, over in the corner, and Richard Pettit back there behind you, principal at Midland Trail. For those that don't know who each of the principals are, because some of you are students at other schools, and Miss Stacy White, the principal at Better Bridge Regional School, is back there in the back. And of course, Blake, and then we'll get introduced here with the rest of the Student Advisory Council. But on top of that, I was kind of honored yesterday. Honestly, yesterday, Katie reached out to me and said, Gary, we have some visitors coming. I know I've got to be at the meeting today, and they were visitors to come and look at some things. I know Ingrid texted me this morning about some technology we're using at Oak Hill High. And they were coming from down in McDowell County. And I said, she said, would it be okay if I brought them to the meeting? And I said, absolutely. I did tell the students just a few minutes ago that there were going to be other visitors here. And she brought with her 2 of her high school principals. And I'm going to ask Dr. Ingrid Barker, and most of my board knows Dr. Barker, because we've been in plenty of meetings together. And besides that, your incoming superintendent, Mr. David Warvel's back here today, and he stepped outside there for a minute, but David's here. But Dr. Barker's been with our board several times in meetings, and I've been in lots of meetings with Ingrid, so we're glad to have you up here in Fayette County today, Ingrid. And if you'll introduce your 2 principals, I would be honored if you would do that for us.
First, I wanted to thank you for letting us come look at Oak Hill. As I told Katie today, we have a lot of great things going on in our schools, but it's always good to learn and see best practices, so that's why we are here. I have Paige McGuire, he is the principal of Riverview High School, and Tim Kennedy, he's the principal of Mountain View High School, so we are very blessed and thankful to be here with you.
All right. Mr. Hogue, thank you for the introductions, and thank you guys for joining us. We really welcome you and hope you find it fruitful today. So with that, I think we've got a lot to do today, and our Student Advisory Council is going to get us kicked off, and we're anxious to hear from you guys. So,
Mr. Jeff Heater, I think, is going to get it kicked off for us.
My name is Jeff Heater. I volunteer as a mentor and coordinator for Leadership Fayette County. I'd like to recognize some of our alumni. We've been offering this program here in Fayette County since about 2002. Mr. Christ, board member, is an alumni of our program from way back when, 2006. So we're thrilled. We're thrilled that we have an alumni on the board. We also have many alumni in the system and living and working here in Fayette County. A couple of them, amazing work these guys have done with the Student Advisory Council. Mr. Blake and Miss Kennedy Moore are both alumni from Leadership Fayette County. And getting to see them work with the kids has been wonderful. My job here is to introduce what's going on and to encourage you to view this in a very specific way. If you can feel comfortable enough to kick your shoes off, feel free. It'll help you. Well, it'll just help. Let's put it that way. I'm not sure that any of you have been in the military, and there are several practices like this elsewhere, but in the military it's called a stripes off review. A stripes off review is designed to allow people who are on the ground and in contact every day with their system, the opportunity to offer ideas, possibilities, and solutions to those who are responsible and in charge of managing that system. So we would ask that you view this on a level playing field, that you look at these students as they come forward as peers, and most importantly, don't be defensive. Don't feel like they're attacking you. What they're offering you comes from their heart and from a sincere place. Their intention is only to make things better, and that's kind of what the whole idea around the Student Advisory Council was, is an effort to improve our system. And I use the word "our" very specifically there. Trust between you and these students is important. It's important that as we move forward with this project that we can maintain that level of trust, and trust requires work from both sides. So let's get to work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I got one more thing. Thank you. Practice, 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 right? We have 2 grades of students here, seniors and juniors. The way we came to this, just to remind everybody, is the seniors last year presented this to the board and asked for it to be created. You guys graciously agreed to enter into this experiment. And I think you're going to see some awesome results from that experiment. There are normally a bunch more juniors at the meetings we've had so far, but this year we're missing some because they're on college tour. We've been plagued by scheduling issues this year with these programs. So normally there'd be a few more juniors here, and they will talk about how we get even more juniors and more students involved in this as the future goes. Okay? Now, can I go sit down?
Hello, I'm AJ Bain. I'm a senior at Oak Hill High School, and I'm a former graduate of Leadership Fayette County and one of the alumni of it. Last year, like Jeff said, our group was the one that worked with the board to help introduce the Student Advisory Council, and today we are here to present it. So we have survey results from last year that we're going to present and talk about, and we would like to thank you all for the help from last year, being able to create this, being able to be here today and talk to you and present this to you, and I hope you enjoy. Thank you.
Thanks, AJ.
Hi, I'm Sophie Allen, and I'm a junior at Oak Hill High School. And to kick off the presentation today, we're going to be starting with question 1 on the surveys. As a group, we wanted to use the surveys as a method to outreach to the students in schools from all of the counties that may not be able to have their opinion heard most of the time. We wanted to use the surveys as a way to bridge the disconnect that can sometimes exist between the student experience and the administrative level. The first question on the survey was the willingness to recommend Fayette County schools as a place for others to receive their education, and this was out of a scale of 10, and we received a rating of 6.25 out of 10 out of around 500 student participants, so this was definitely very middle way. Something we noticed while we were sorting through the survey data was that the questions are slightly ambiguous and not as specific as they could be. That would be more helpful to generate more specific solutions to target some of the issues. And so as a suggestion for the future, when the surveys are made, maybe the questions should be a little more refined and fine-tuned so we can have more specific results. But nonetheless, we noticed some trends when we were sorting through the data. Most of the concerns that the students had fell into one of 2 categories, which is the in-classroom concerns and things that would be on a more administrative level. On an administrative level, we noticed that a lot of students had concerns over the atmosphere in the bathrooms within all the schools in the county, and also some comments about the types of lunches that have been served. And in classroom, we had 2 broad categories of results, and this was the group of students who plan to go to college after high school, and then the group of students that wanted to enter the workforce as a career-bound student. And some more worldly preparation was asked for by the students to be able to go into the real world with a better understanding of how it was going to work, regardless if you're going to go to college or straight into a career. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Brianne Davis. I'm a senior at Oak Hill High School. I'm also a graduate of last year's Leadership Fayette County class, which means I'm now an alumni of that program.
And my name is Jordan Floyd. I'm also a senior at Oak Hill High School, and I'm also a Leadership Fayette County graduate.
So, question 2 basically says, how safe do you feel within your school on a daily basis? As we can see in our data of our 500 students, we see that 36% of our students feel very safe, 56% feel safe most of the time, and then 8% feel not safe at all. But I would really like to remind you that this data is old, and we actually have our results from last year. We had 800 participants instead of 500, so hopefully when we go over this data, the newer data soon, we'll be able to see a change or a more accurate read of what's going on within the schools.
And so, what we think caused that increase in the data was, this was actually a topic we discussed at our previous meetings, was how we could encourage more students to take the surveys. So at Oak Hill High School and at Midland Trail, the Student Advisory Council students went classroom to classroom and just sort of explained to our peers what the survey was, its benefits, and encouraged them to take it. And so we think that is what helped increase that.
Makes sense.
Continuing with question number 2, one thing that we noticed is that the definition of safe isn't very clear, and it doesn't really allow us to target specifically what is making students feel unsafe. And another pattern that we observed is that most of the time, students associated being unsafe with just being uncomfortable. And so we think that contributed to why the majority of people answered in the middle, 56% safe most of the time. I was part of that majority. I answered safe most of the time when I took the survey, because I knew that when I read the word safe, maybe I wasn't physically unsafe while in school, but that didn't necessarily mean that I was always comfortable. Another pattern that we observed is that students have safety concerns with feeling unsafe or uncomfortable within bathrooms.
So some uncomfortable things students have been saying they were having within the bathrooms is issues with vaping, nicotine products, THC vapes, and just people being in the bathroom but not using the bathroom, which leads to traffic jams. It's harder for students to get to class on time. We also think it's kind of I don't want to say it's a safety issue, but it can cause problems if there was ever an emergency, or say a student had a medical problem, they had to actually use the bathroom. Having people just in there doing nothing makes it an issue. In a recommendation we have based off of the data we've collected through this question, we believe maybe separating this into 2 different questions. So we'll have one question which is basically just focusing on like the actual safety of a student within the school, so their physical safety if they're being bullied, just issues that our administrators or you guys will be able to look at and change. And then another follow-up question would be, how comfortable are you in the school? And we would have this on a 1 to 10 scale. So basically the students would rate it, and we would have a little comment box underneath so they can specify if they have issues with how the hallways are, the bathrooms, just what can we do to make our students more comfortable?
Right, so like one addressing more like physical safety as far as like the risk of school shootings or being injured, and then a separate one on if they're feeling supported and if they're comfortable within the school system.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Hello, my name is Emily Carruthers, and I'm from Meadowbridge Regional School. I'm a senior this year, but last year I was in Leadership Fayette County. I'm an alumni now. Our question we are focusing on is, do you feel that you have a staff member at your school that cares about you and your success? The survey found that students feel that their teachers don't care about them as much as they should. They're looking for greater effort from teachers. They want more involvement. They want more hands-on learning opportunities in their schools. They want more classroom resources, and they want more career and college preparedness.
Hello, my name is Addison Salvatore. I'm a senior at Oak Hill High School, and I'm also an alumni of the Leadership Fayette County program. So based off of these findings, we find that potential solutions could be implementing more hands-on learning programs such as M3T, which is a part of our Oak Hill High School math department. We think that it would be very beneficial if we could branch out these types of hands-on learning programs to different departments such as our English, social studies, and science programs. With that, we also think it'd be beneficial to host more career and college fairs to educate our students on the many options that they do have after high school and to come back and eventually benefit our county as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Good job.
Hi, my name is Jordan Harris. I am a senior at Oak Hill High School and also an alumni of Leadership Fayette County.
Good morning. My name is Emily Isaacs, and I'm a junior at Midland Trail High School. So question number 4 was asking, do you feel that Fayette County schools are preparing you for your success after high school? So since this was data from last year, we had roughly about 500 students who answered, and we had an average rating of 6.3 out of 10. And so the common negative responses that we got from this question was that students who answered it negatively thought that school is not future oriented and that they think that the curriculum that we do in schools is heavily centered around test scores. And they also expressed a desire for more personalized class options to help them. But some of the common positive responses that we received were mostly from students saying that they appreciate the vocational and technical school that we have, which is FIT, and also dual credit classes, which are provided at home schools through colleges. And so the key takeaway that we can take from this is that there's a growing perception among students that if they are not college bound, then school is not for them, I guess you could say. And that's just mostly focusing that the negative responses that we got are mostly just from kids who aren't college bound. And they think that high school is more focused on college bound. And so the students that aren't going to go to college after high school are just basically walking around aimlessly, just taking classes just to get by.
So the proposed solution to the question reminder is that, do you feel that Fayette County schools are preparing you for success after high school? The solution can be summed up with EEE, ensure, emphasize, and expand. We need to ensure that each counselors are having a inclusive resource so that not only are the college-bound students feeling like they're being heard and helped by the counselors, but that each individual there. Also emphasize non-college pathways just as equally as college pathways, which VOTEC is an amazing opportunity for them to do that. However, we need to expand the access to these VOTEC classes opportunities, whether that be marketing it more or specifically reaching out to the students that it's obvious that college is not for them, but making sure that we're still speaking to them, ensuring that they can also be successful in life. So in conclusion, on the paper, I have the 2016 statistic, but as I'm presenting, it's a more recent statistic that in 2024, 47.4% of high school graduates in West Virginia enrolled in a 4-year college. This is great. This is a greater number than what is on the 2016 statistic. However, that still means that there's a 52.6% of students that need extra guidance in figuring out their post-high school plans. And who is there to help them? The counselors that are already within the school system. However, these counselors can become even more impactful whenever we foster a culture that develops relationships with each and every single student, not just the college-bound ones, because in all, every single student is important and each and every single one of you guys care about the success of that student. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Selena Hicks. I'm a senior at Middle and Trail High School, and I'm also an alumni of Leadership Fayette County. Our question was,
What else would you like for Fayette County school leaders to consider in making your educational experiences more meaningful? This question was more student-generated responsive, so we get more of a specific feedback. When we went over our part of the survey, we came to a conclusion that a lot of the students were talking about needing advice on how to prepare for college or going straight into the workforce. Also, along with how to apply for scholarships and needing better access to info about college scholarships and also like job opportunities, just for the people who don't really want to go to college. So the conclusion we came to is that if we offered more college and career fairs, and also if we had a college and career advisor, it would give everybody an opportunity to figure out their options and stuff like that. And also, as Superintendent Mr. Hogue was talking about, for the floaters who don't really have a career option or don't really want to go to college, it would be also a good idea if we had someone come and talk to them about a gap year, but making your gap year productive. So that way they can get an idea within that year with also helping out either the community or something like that. Giving them an idea on how they can better prepare in their life and figure out what they're going to do after that gap year.
So whether it be the college-bound students or career-bound students, like she said, either it be a career fair or college fair, I think it would both be very beneficial to all students. One thing that was brought up by a lot of students, and that is in place now, but I still think we could use it a little more, would be the personal finance. I know now that going into college, it would be really helpful to have a class to teach me how to take out loans for college, apply for credit cards, taxes, mortgages, writing checks, which that has already become in plan, and it's very helpful. But I feel like moving on into the future with more emphasis on that, I feel like it will be very beneficial to all students. One thing that a lot of students talked about was more VOTEC career paths, which I think now as the education system, I feel like VOTEC has become a very great program. There's a lot of opportunities. It pretty well matches everything, but I guess there's some students who believe they want more in it, or there's something else they want out of it. And whether you are college-bound or career-bound, one thing that I feel like will help everybody is more access to information. Your access to information will be very helpful. Doesn't matter what student you are, or where you're going in life. Access to information will definitely be a big help with everything.
Thank you.
To conclude our presentation today, we have been using the surveys as a group to attempt to outreach to the students of the schools and try to connect the administrative level with the student experience that's happening. And we found many trends within our data of certain issues that students have, and also certain things that the school programs and policies that you guys have implemented have been doing right and benefiting the students, and these could be further expanded upon to create a more engaging learning environment for all.
As far as how safe students do within the schools, our data shows that 36% feel very safe, 56% feel safe most of the time, and 8% feel not safe at all. While we feel that this is pretty good data, it could be better, and we also think that adjusting this survey question could help us target more specifically what needs to be improved.
I think it will also be able to lead to a safer school environment, because when students are comfortable, they're more willing to learn, they're happier, and also it will lead to, if there's ever an issue, we'll know it wasn't because of this. We'll be able to actually narrow it down, because then you won't have to, well, I was trying to get to class on time, but so-and-so was in the bathroom and I couldn't get in. So I feel like to target some issues, we can fix others.
So based on question 3's findings, we found that students want more hands-on learning opportunities and more opportunities to seek out options such as opportunities from career fairs and college fairs. And with that, our potential solutions would be to implement more hands-on programs such as M3T and host more maybe county-wide college and career fairs.
With all the information that we found from question number 4, our solution was that students need to develop a better relationship with their counselors. Whether it be college-bound students or career-bound students, they both need to have that opportunity to talk to their counselor.
With ours, our bottom line that we decided on was access, whether that be access to information, better access to career fairs, college fairs, your personal finance, having access to be able to learn all of that. And I mean, like even the career bound, having access to more VOTEC programs.
And also giving students every possible option they have.
Thank you for your time. And we wanted to express our gratitude to all of you guys for giving us the opportunity to be here and communicate on behalf of our peers to try to help make a better education system for everyone.
And we also want to give thanks to the seniors who helped set this up for us last year and giving us the opportunity to talk to you today, and to also all the future students who will be doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
He's going to road. State Bar meeting here, these guys.
Can you come to every meeting? I know, it's like, it just makes me.
You guys did a great job.
Yeah, thank you.
Very good.
Yes.
Any questions? I had one question. So as far as the collection of the data, I was listening, it just sounded like it was mostly from the high schools is where we collected that data. And what barriers did you guys come across as you were collecting the data? Did you guys have any barriers in collecting the data?
People not filling it out.
We also had a lot of issues, which we actually.
You're good. You want to come up here?
Yeah.
Come on. I think our biggest thing was just people not filling it out. As you see, like Brianne said, from last year to this year, last year there was like 500 something. This year there was close to 830, which is like a really big increase just going out and promoting it. Us as the members of the Student Advisory Board, not just Leadership Fayette County, we went out into each class at the high school and like we told the kids personally, like, hey, we really would like for you to take your time and answer these thoughtfully, because soon we are going to be presenting these, or the next group after us will be presenting these answers to you all.
Another issue I think we had was probably, which we actually talked about this earlier, we do a lot of surveys that are very similar or almost the exact same as this just throughout the year. I think this year we've done about 4 or 5. So I feel like it's kind of hard to get the kids to care after doing so many, because they're not seeing an immediate change, which that's why we're here. We're here to be that change, but it's hard to show them when they're not physically here to see it and have these conversations.
It's very hard. And what happens is, like with the ICE Collaborative Survey, it's what we owe on the grant in order to have the money to do the things that the FRN and the ICE Collaborative and the Project Aware and all the Project Adventure, all those things that have been growing in the county. This end of the week Project Adventure Days at the parks for the 4th and 5th graders. Those kinds of things, that's our pay. That's how we pay for the grants and how we prove we need things. And so it takes a long time for somebody, I don't know, to get to the point where they see a return on those surveys. So you feel like you're surveyed to death. The county commission wants a survey, the city council wants a survey. I mean, I'm in the same boat as an adult. You get all that, and then you wonder, well, am I going to live long enough to see what this survey proved, or am I going to hear in 2 years another survey? It's a challenge for all of us, and it's going to be a greater challenge because the money is going to get tighter to do things. So, I don't know the solution to that. Sometimes with healthcare, we give away gift cards to Walmart or baby car seats, that kind of thing. We're not in a position to do that at the school, but the information is valuable, and it's very hard, like you said, access, communication, information. It's very hard to communicate the need to kids that don't see the results. So, and that could be part of the personal finance class, the understanding of why you have to not have to, why you should give to your community. And this is a way to do that, is to answer questions and, in general, think about improving for the greater good. It's a hard ticket to sell, but I certainly appreciate that you got 800. And you did that because you all have been here. You've been here 3 or 4 times before us. The leadership class, you all have worked with, and so people can see what you're doing, visually see you guys going and coming here and doing all that. I think that makes a huge difference toward the solution of having more kids next year answer the questions. And as things might get resolved, I mean, we're already working on the lunches. There are things that will happen. You can connect back to the data that you received here. I think that's such a valuable lesson for us. It's a valuable lesson for you going to college, going to the workforce, whatever you're going to do, because the tools we need to get where we want to go, and the survey is one of them. And I appreciate the work that you did on this. This is an incredible return on the investment of time, which I know was huge. Appreciate that. Very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Couple, Josh, do you have any more?
I'll just comment.
Yeah, well, I'll let you go ahead. Yeah, you go ahead.
All right, no, I personally think you guys did a wonderful job with this. You brought out some strong points. One of the things that would merit a great discussion, I think, is that question 4, where you cited those common negative response, where you said school is not future oriented. The big one was curriculum heavily centered around test scores. Those are things that, I mean, you could get into some serious debating in those questions. And I think, our teachers, our administrators, they need to look at that, because being a former administrator, I always felt curriculum was heavily centered around test scores. You talk about data. That's what drives instruction. So being negative, I kind of want to debate that a little bit. But a great job, though. Great job.
Mr. Chris?
I think the other thing, so one thing I think that may, just a suggestion for your guys' data collection, because, going year over year on this project, is maybe think about, not all of these questions would apply to the middle school level, but maybe thinking about, the feeling safe at school, and then you're creating an awareness, starting all the way at the middle school level, and then by the time they get to high school, hey, I've heard about this survey. We did this survey in middle school, so that could help you with data collection. But again, not all of these, I don't know many folks in middle school that are thinking about what they're going to do after high school. So, one suggestion. I'll pass it off to.
I have a couple of comments, I guess. Number one, great job. It's always good to hear from our students, and because you're what we're about. And my fellow board members and superintendent and other staff members, we've heard some of these things before. What do we do about it? And our students are bringing to us concerns. And I've heard these concerns from people just out in the community. So you've done a good job of getting the data for us, telling us the problems are, and we got to solve the problems. And I think with Mr. Hogue and Mr. Wool, working with our students, I think you have solutions. They've got to be realistic. We can't be, build a new building, but our bathroom's different, whatever. We don't have the finances to do that. But there are ways to address these without a bunch of money problem. It's going to take some money. But great job. This personal finance thing, this has been an issue. I hope what our legislature has handed down to the State Department, the State Department to us, is realistic. What our students can do. We have kids getting out here, like you said, don't know how to buy a car, don't know about insurance, inspection of the car, they don't have driver's ed, I hope. That all comes under one umbrella. So Again, I think we need to take this to heart, see what we can do. We can't solve everything, but we can take some of these and solve them. I hope we do. Thank you all very, very much.
Thank you.
So just a few comments. I've been around surveys and employee and customer satisfaction for the majority of a 30-year career. And I'd like to compliment you guys on how you put this together. This was very nicely structured and presented. So thank you guys for that. And it is, what's important about programs like this, where we take the data from the people closest to it, right, the students in the classroom. The most important about any climate and culture work that we do is a model that allows us to take this and you see fruit from your labor, right? You see results from, and we can't solve every problem, right? But we can find those problems we can impact and work towards solutions with them. And for you as students to see those, it's important because then you realize your voice has power. And that's what's so important about climate and culture. So it's not just about putting a survey out there. It's about taking action on what the survey tells us. I have a couple questions for you. Mr. Christ alluded to maybe we ask some questions at lower grade levels. We did an 8th grade survey at Midland Trail this year because of an empowerment program that they're working with. But you tell us, what's the right grade levels that these should be delivered? Do you think it should be 9th through 12th? Should it be 10th through 12th? What's your thoughts?
I think the more feedback, the better.
Mm-hmm.
So I think all grade levels would be beneficial.
So you think all high school grade levels, 9th through 12th?
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. Good feedback, just to make sure we're on target.
Yeah.
Okay. And certainly the safe question, we can better define what safe means.
Yeah.
As we've looked at this, because we ask our employees that same question, and what we found is they feel very safe from outside threats. But sometimes there's those internal threats that we would call bullying and things like that, that may be why they fall into that safe most of the time, right? So really trying to uncover those things. So maybe better defining the word safe in the survey would help to get to some more concrete examples of where people are uncomfortable, right? So.
Can I throw something in there for
Sure.
our work? As kids move from 8th grade, and all the high schools have an academy to get you ready, maybe it would be interesting to layer this, maybe not, just a thought, a survey similar to this to the 8th graders coming to those preparation classes before they go to high school, and then watching them as a cohort, what they say later in their experience in that high school. That might be valuable information for all of us to look at. I mean, I think it's a smaller group to work with, and if you start with the ones who attend these, like the academy that Katie does and everybody does, they're going to have a totally different perception of what that high school experience is going to be until they get in it. And maybe there we find some things we don't know and need to know about what kids think about what they're going to face and what they might need, and it got delivered or it didn't. I think that's just kind of interesting to me to know that. Another survey is just what we need, but you know what I'm saying. I think it's an easy cohort to follow.
Well, it would be a way to baseline the data.
Yeah, it would be,
trend
because they're
it.
coming into the high school experience, and then again, when they're in 10th grade or whatever, see if they change their perceptions or how being in the actual school has affected them in these ways. Might be interesting to all of us. It would be to me.
I have a question specifically on the finance piece. So that was brought out, the finance class. Actually had some conversations yesterday with some teachers. And do you feel that finance being addressed earlier would be beneficial? So like in your middle school experience, to start some of that. We've had something called, I don't know if any of you participated in the Reality Store. Does that ring a bell?
And the state treasurer comes.
State treasurer does that
Yeah.
activity, very similar.
But I don't know how effective it is.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, and I think they've changed the name of it. It used to be the Reality Store, where you had a job that you were assigned with a salary and a budget
And
and
then you went to college the next round and you got, yeah.
lots of different things.
Salary,
I don't know if anybody remember, but I do, and I'm sitting here, I used to teach business education. We did all this in business education. We did every bit of this in business ed, but since they've cut business ed teachers back so far, a lot of that's missing. But I taught all of that. How to write checks, how to mortgage, all this stuff, buy a car. We did that in business ed back when I taught, and I won't tell y'all when it was, but that's.
Okay. We've already heard how
Oh,
Josh is.
Yeah.
We're gonna leave the age thing out.
I was back there with Barney and Fred Flintstone back in those days.
Yeah, we were
But
right
yeah,
for it.
we taught that. I think it died when, again, back then there were 10, 11 high schools, and, each one had 2, maybe 3 business ed teachers. And believe it or not, at one time, students were, they had to take it. It was required. You had to take it. And we taught personal finance. We taught how to write a check and how to mortgage a house and do things like that. But, it died somewhere. I thought it was still there, but apparently it has died. So I think they swept it to the BOTEC or something, but that was a big thing when I was going to school. When I was teaching, when I was taking those classes and going to school, we learned that.
We removed from the curriculum a lot of things that help kids, young people, not kids, young people, understand what to expect when they got out of school, how to basic life skills. And we said, it's not beneficial. We'll find out now. I watched a lot of young people that go into college out of high school, don't know how to cook, don't know how to wash, don't know how to buy,
They still don't have
a car. I mean, they just, I don't know, it just seemed like we're missing out on it. And I know it doesn't make you a scientist or a lawyer or a teacher how to live. And I think y'all point out your survey. That's not. No.
All right. Anything else?
But it gives us something to think about.
I just want to commend the group. It's been a pleasure this year to work with y'all, and I mean that sincerely from the bottom of my heart, a real pleasure. Even Miss Salvatore did pick on me most meetings. I just want to point that out. Did you meet with her in advance here, Coach?
Beg your pardon?
You must have met with Addison Salvatore in advance, because she seemed to come to every meeting trying to pick on me. I don't know what the issue was.
Yeah.
Give her a ghost.
We are going to recognize the seniors for a minute that are leaving us with their cords. So, Jeff, so I don't miss anybody, you have the list there.
Don't worry, they won't let us give them. Go ahead and give them to the juniors too.
Okay.
Everybody who's here.
Okay.
Go on, get up there. I can read them off there. There's up there.
Hey, Bob, take a picture.
Well, guys, come on up. Come on up. Bob, you'll get some pictures of them. If you'll get some pictures. If you guys, I tell you what, it'd be great just to line up, and I'll recognize each one of you as we do it. And Bob can get pictures. You can line up beside each other, and I'll have Kennedy hand it to me, and I'll put them on. How's that? That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, here with us. Here.
And I guess I'm starting with Addie, since I've already got her in trouble for picking on me. But she's known me, her mother's worked around here a long time, so that's a real
She doesn't
conversation.
get in trouble, she gets kudos.
Kudos. Miss Addison Salvatore, thank you guys for your input, thank you. Miss Emily Carruthers. Thank you, Miss Emily. You need to encourage our students at Everbridge to be more and more to apply for leadership. I think Stacy's back there, but you need to do that.
I've been working on them.
I tell you what, all those great videos, sometimes we want to recognize somebody, all those great videos that you've had a chance to see this year, to our Culture and Climate Committee. One of the key people, and is anybody else in your class here that works with you? No, but the key person we've gone to a lot is Miss Jordan Floyd.
Thank you.
Jordan, congratulations, Jordan. And you might know her mom and dad a little bit. Brianne, congratulations, Brianne. Excellent job, and your input was outstanding. Thank you. You know, Sophie looked at me like, who is this crazy old person? At 6 o'clock in the morning. Everybody here knows I walk early every morning. I try to get out and exercise, and on a few occasions to make sure they got the announcement that when we're having a meeting and when it went out in the email, I would run into Sophie and her sisters downtown, getting ready to get on the bus. I'd say, Sophie, at first she wasn't sure it was. The second time she said, oh, that's Mr. Oak, he's just crazy.
Three's your danger.
Hi, Miss Isaacs. Your principal's back there.
Yeah.
You want to really recognize her?
She wants me to put that on her.
Congratulations. Talita, I don't want to say your name. I'm not going to call Jordan by her mother's name.
Miss Isaac. Is your sister basketball player? Basketball player.
Miss Danielle here.
Don't do that. Andrea Isaac. Yeah.
Thank you. Got it.
You
And Mr. A.J. Banks.
Culture shock, girl. Culture shock.
Thank you all.
How about if they tuck right in here behind you?
Jay, Jeff, do we have cords for you too?
Go back, slide over some more.
We're good. As long as we're
I'll leave for lunch.
All right, thank you.
Guys, if you just give us a couple minutes for lunch, we can actually, I'll let the board president decide, go ahead and if he wants to do a recess now.
If we've got that built in, that would be perfect.
That's perfect.
Okay.
With your permission, that's our plan. We will move, I think they're running just a couple minutes behind on lunch.
Board members, are you okay with the recess? All right, we will go into recess.
Amy?